listening to the New Music Podcast. I'm Jennifer Torrence. I'm a curator here, and I'm sitting with Lene Grenager, who is a composer, an improviser, a gardener, and many other things. And we will be showing her new works, Reconstruction II and IV, in January 2024. And today we'll just be talking about some of the red threads in Lene's practice and the different materials that Lene works with and how she thinks about her work. So welcome, Lene.
Thank you.
Can you answer that first question? What would you say are some red threads, some recurring themes that keep coming back across your decades of making music?
Yes, I can try to say something about that. It's always, I find it always difficult to do this myself, but I'll try. And the two things that are very close to the pieces that we are doing in January are my focus on what the score is and how it needs to communicate. I've been using many different ways of making scores, from more traditional notation to graphic scores, and now in this concert also an embroidered score. So it's many different things there. And the second thing is the two pieces are a part of a series of works dealing with industrial sounds from old industrial machines. And this is also something I've explored in other works. So, perhaps those are the two red threads I can think of now.
Yeah, now I realize that threads is a very apt word when you bring up your embroidered score.
Yeah.
And if we could go back a little bit into the history of this series of works, all of the pieces that you'll be showing in January are Reconstruction.
Yeah.
And the very first was a commission by New Music.
Yes.
10 years ago or so.
Yeah, it was a commission for an exhibition with works by Lene Grenager, a Norwegian artist, visual artist, and he often pictures industrial machines that are not doing anything anymore. So this is kind of where the idea came. And I've also been interested in this the theme of industrial machines before this as well, but now it sort of came together as a good place to try it out in the first piece.
And what was this first piece like?
Well, I wrote it for a German ensemble called the Ensemble Zwischen and for an orchestra of sewing machines. So some of the elements that I'm worked with there is still coming up in the pieces that are performed now. And what I did was I found this small place where they make cloth, a weaving place, where they used old machines. And I just called them and asked if I could come and record the machines. So this was sort of the starting point for that piece, and I used those recordings for as a starting point for all the things that the musicians were doing in that piece. And then I had this idea of including the machines themselves, which then was the sewing machines, and I like that a lot. So this has sort of been working in the background for me for many years, and I sort of explored other possibilities with this material, and also recorded a lot of other machines over the years since then. So, yeah.
And the quality of this music is quite repetitive and rhythmic. Is it still this way as you continue to work with, now I'm referencing the very first work, which is built on these kind of rhythmic cells, it sounds to me. Is this continuing in these later works that we're going to hear?
Yes, yes, they are, but they are sort of relating differently in each piece to the instruments. The relation between the industrial sounds and the instruments are a bit different from piece to piece. And I've also I have one of the other big pieces is with videos, which is a very long video work. This is Reconstruction II, and Reconstruction V also comprises video. So and now this is with the number 3 here is an embroidered score. So I've I've sort of looked at different ways of exploring this material.
Exploring it in a visual way.
Yes,
as well.
Yes, as well. Yeah.
So, what are the videos like for Reconstruction II and Reconstruction IV?
Yeah. Well, in Reconstruction II, I have used my own video recordings of different industrial machines, and also very close-up recordings of instruments. And so I've kind of constructed different new machines or instruments instruments visually by combining these recordings. So and it's sort of a very simple narrative from the machines and the instruments being separated, and in the middle there is this kind of a more of a night at the museum moment where the instruments sort of take over the machines, and from there on the machines always have some kind of instrument thing merged on them.
And then the embroidered score, which is a very fascinating idea, to take that much time to make a score. And in this case of the Reconstruction 3, no, I'm not saying that right. In this case of Reconstruction 4, a huge embroidered score will also be viewed by the audience.
Yeah, it's 3, yeah.
It's 3. So in Reconstruction 3, the score will be viewed by the audience.
Yeah.
Where to begin with the embroidered score? Can you unpack, maybe describe what it looks like, how you made it, why the audience needs to look at it, why does every musician share the same score?
Yeah, well, it's a quite big score. It's 3 times 4 meters, something like that. A big embroidery with quite kind of very small, very detailed, and what I wanted to do, and this starts in another piece called Skin that I did a few years back, where I wanted to make the score something unique, something that you could not, or if you wanted to copy it, you would have to work on it for a really long time. And this is kind of trying to make the score something really important and something really with value, because now, I mean, there's a lot of in the digital realm we just share and we use and that's good, but I wanted the score to be really something that you need to be in the room to experience, and also for the musicians that they needed to be with the score to work on it and use it. So this is kind of a bigger version of that idea. And I also wanted to share, because when I did the Skin, I thought that the audience also gets to see the score there, but it's quite small, so it's not so easy to see. But now I wanted to really make a big one, so and also place people, the audience amongst the musicians, so that we all kind of share the same experience of the score, and some are playing and some are sort of listening to it. So yeah.
And what does it look like?
Well, it's in color, in many different colors. It's kind of a portrait of Oslo, because I've used Oslo as a starting point. The buildings, it's not a picture of Oslo, but it's my vision of Oslo. I've used the buildings and using photographs taken from many different angles of the city. I've kind of constructed another city, so you can see buildings from very far away, which perhaps will make them just look like one stitch. or you can see them quite close, where the many stitches can make up one building. So it's this has just been a way for me to have a starting point for the score, and I'm working with the colors and with how the musicians are going to react to this as I'm embroidering. So yeah.
I have played one of your embroidered scores before, the piece Skin that you mentioned, and it was an interesting... I know when you describe it, I can imagine it's a similar kind of content with long and short lines, horizontal, vertical, slanted, repeating lines that evoke the architecture of building blocks and things of this nature. My question has to do with your expectation for how the musicians will interpret this also as a group, and also in relation to this industrial sound world that you have been working with. How do you facilitate all of these interests in aesthetics?
In this piece the musicians have sort of two scores. They have these big embroidered scores, but they also have a paper score with some notated things that I'm going to do at certain points in the piece. And I've also worked with, because I work with different colors, the musicians are asked to relate to different colors at the different places in the piece. And I imagine that what I've written in the traditionally noted score will sort of influence what they are going to do in the other one. That's my theory anyway. It's going to be very we'll see. But I find also that the instrumentation that I've chosen and the musicians, the kind of musicians that I want to use, is also kind of the part of this, what I'm expecting.
And what are those? Who are those musicians, or what are they like? What are their qualities?
Yes, I want them to have both the experience of reading written scores, but also have experience with improvisation, being used to improvise and doing graphic scores and doing many different ways of working with making music.
With a graphic score, especially when there are many people involved, we don't have a code like Western notation that we can go back to a legend that says if it's a squiggly line, then I play symbol, or et cetera, et cetera. What are some of your strategies to keep open this improvisatory space that these musicians bring with them anyway, and somehow coming to agreements? Or are agreements important in terms of interpreting the embroidered score?
Yeah, well, in this piece, it's actually not so important because it's this industrial sounds that are sort of the starting point, and the machines, and I want them to sort of be individual machines. Even though in the traditional written parts, they sort of together make up a machine. So, but I want them to have autonomy as musicians in the graphic parts of the. But I try to sort of subtly push them in different directions by giving them some subtle instructions, and I always tell them which color they should use at this point and who is going to do that. And in this piece, I'm also having these sewing machines, and they are going to do very specific things. They are not improvising, and they are not actually using the embroidered scores. They have a very specific task at each point, what kind of stitches, what kind of actions they are going to do with the sewing machines.
So the sewing machine idea is also something, if I understood correctly, that began with this Reconstruction work from 10 years ago. How has your use, if I can say that, of the sewing machine across these pieces been the same or changed, or do you feel that you're researching something as you're composing for these machines?
Well, I'm a better sewer now than I was when I wrote the last one, the first one, I mean. So I think my instructions are clearer now.
Is it about the sound of the machine? Is it about the act of producing? Is it maybe it's also a reference to this industrial, repetitive kind of work? All of these things.
It's all these things actually, and the sound because different stitches make different sounds. Different. Sometimes I want them to sew very fast, so that's one kind of sound. Sometimes I want them to sew very slow, and that's another kind of sound. And in this piece that we're going to do in January, I also want them to do one task over and over again, which is kind of what all the machines do in the in the factory, and which is also the truth for many workers around the world, that they're doing extremely repetitive work. So I'm trying to use this repetitive structure for the workers on a sort of long scale, and combine that with the repetitive patterns on a shorter time frame with the musicians.
Repetition is, we already talked about being a musical tool or interest in your work, in individual works. Yeah. But then when we have 4 or 5 reconstruction pieces, there's also your some of your improvisation projects that are also about repeating work, playing in the same space but at a different time of year. Yeah. Can you talk about this long line of repetition and why you do this? What's the obsession?
Well, actually, I don't know. I just like it, and I think it has something to do with the fact that when you listen to something repeating over time, it happens something happens with it, and when I'm working with improvisation as an instrumentalist, as a cellist, and I'm working with repetitive patterns, then I always have sort of an agenda of trying to get somewhere. But as a composer, I can sort of I can leave the repetitions as something that does not necessarily have a direction, but just is something that you can get into. But I also feel that, I mean, there's a lot of repetitive music around, and I sort of have this. It's not like I don't feel that my music is sort of meditative or something like that. It's more like physical static structures. It's quite violent sometimes, and it's quite heavy to do for the musicians as well. So yeah, physicality is important.
This leads me back to your composed work, because somehow they're facilitated differently. Your musical ideas are in different modes. Yeah. So I wonder, when you were working with an ensemble of musicians, in this case you have alpaca ensemble, but also an extended alpaca with, is it 14 musicians? Or how do you think about transferring this physicality? Is repetition, obviously that's a tool to have the body continue and continue, and maybe there's a recognition of physicality, or do you have other ways of tapping into that space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it has something to do with why I like to work with alpaca as well, because I think they have quite a physical way of solving things a lot of the time, and but I also feel that because I asked them to do very demanding things for a long time, repeating them. They cannot relax. They just have to. They have to really work hard to do it, and then that's kind of opens up for that kind of physicality that I like. Then
Duration plus insistence.
Yeah.
I think you get asked this a lot about your relation to feminism, women's work. Yeah. I would love to hear an answer, even though I've heard it before. And maybe your answer is changing. Maybe it becomes also a question of exhaustion. But you have the sewing machines, you have the embroidered scores, you have the physicality of the body.
Yep. Well, in this work series, feminism or women's work has been really important to me because and one of the reasons that I've been using the sewing machines is that it's been one of the first ways for women to or sewing in general has been one of the first ways for women to make money of their own. If it has been in their own home, taking home work and doing it there, or if they have been working in the factories. So it's also a kind of a subtle way of pointing at this this possibility, and at the same time curse that it has been for women to do working in the textile industry. I think we all know about how a lot of the textiles that we are using today are made, and we should be more conscious about what's really happening in the textile industry, I feel. So even though these pieces are not political in that sense, because I'm sort of gushing over the sound of the machines and things like that, I feel that this is also something that is fundamental to this series.
Thank you to Lene Grenager. All the music you've heard today is by Lene. Either her work Reconstruction II or excerpts from her solo album Mixed Handedness.
Thank you.